Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to explore three very powerful SAS character functions that are find, findC, and FINDW. These functions help you search for substrings, characters, and words inside a string. Understanding the differences between them is extremely important for data cleaning, text processing, and interview preparation. Let's start with the first function, that is the find function. The purpose of this function is to locate a substring within a string. With optional arguments, you can define the starting point for the search, set the direction of the search, and ignore cases or trailing blanks. The syntax of find function is that inside the find call, which is in the brackets, you have to first mention a character value separated by a comma. You have to mention the find string, that is the string which you want to find in the character value. Then we have a optional argument which is modifiers, which if we want to mention, for example, to ignore any case, then we can mention a modifier for that. And the fourth argument, which is again a optional argument, that is the starting position. The character value is any SAS character values, whereas the find string is a character variable or string literal that contains one or more characters that you want to search for. The function returns the first position in the character value that contains the find string. If the find string is not found, then the function returns a 0. If you want to ignore the case of the find string while finding the string in character value, then you can use the modifier as I. Whereas to ignore the trailing blanks in both the character variable and the find string, you can use the modifier T. Start is an optional parameter that specifies the position in the string to begin the search. If it is omitted, the search is started at the beginning of the string. If it is non-zero, the search begins at the position in the string of the absolute value of the number, starting from leftmost position in the string. If the start value is positive, the search goes from left to right. However, if the value is negative, the search goes from right to left. A negative value larger than the length of the string results in a scan from right to left, starting at the end of the string. If the value of the start is a positive number longer than the length of the string, or if it is 0, the function returns a 0. Another point to note here is that you can switch the position of start and modifiers, and the function will work this way. You can also use either one of these arguments without the other as the third argument to the function. Taking an example of the find function here, you can see that we have defined a character value as a text variable where we are passing the value as clinical programming in SAS as the character value. And from this character value, we are creating three again different variables, checking for different type of find functions here. So in position one variable, what we are doing is we are applying a find function to the text variable where we are just passing the find string, and the find string here is the SAS in whole capitals. So point to note here is that find function is case sensitive. So since we have not mentioned any modifiers in the first call for position 1, the find function will literally check for the SAS in the whole capital letter in the text string and returns its position if it finds the SAS in the text. Since the text is clinical programming in SAS and SAS again is in whole capitals, so in the result of this position 1 variable will be a value of 24. Similarly, if we go for the position 2 variable where we are mentioning a modifier which is I. So I is a modifier where we want to ignore the case of the text which we want to search. Then in this case, again, since we have mentioned a modifier but the find string value is SAS in lower capitals letters, so again the result is same, that the find function call for position 2 will again give a result of 22, that is the position of SAS in the text string. For position 3, we are checking for the value programming in a text string. So here please note again that programming what we have mentioned as the find string in the third call for find function, we are mentioning the programming value which is matching with the same along with its case and the spellings in the text variable, that because of that reason the find function here returns a value of 10. Next is the FINDC function. The purpose of this function is to locate a character that appears or does not appear within a string. With optional arguments, you can define the starting point for the search, set the direction of the search, ignore the cases of trailing blanks, and look for certain characters as well. The syntax of this function is that after the find C in brackets, you have a character value. The second is the find character list. Then the two optional uh, arguments, which is the modifiers and the starting position. Find characters is the list of one or more characters that you want to search for. The function returns the first position in the character value that contains one of the find characters. If none of the characters are found, the function returns a 0. With an optional argument, you can have the function return the position in the character string of a character that is not in the find characters list. The modifiers which we can use for find C are, first of all, it is I, which is used to ignore the case. The second is T, which is used to ignore the trailing blanks in both the character values and the find characters list. Another modifier, which is K, can be used to count only characters that are not in the list of find characters. The modifier O is a modifier which processes the modifier and find characters only once for a specific call to the function. In subsequent calls, changes to these argument will have no impact. This might improve performance if the find characters are consistent or literals. Modifier A is used to add uppercase and lowercase letters to the list of characters to find. Modifier D can be used to add digits to the list characters to find. Start is an optional parameters that specify the position in the string to begin the search. It is same as what we have discussed for the find function. Let's understand the FINDC function with an example. Again, here I'm having a character value populated as a text variable, which is a phone, then a semicolon, space, then a 123 hyphen 4567 value. So this is a alphanumeric character value, which is also having some special characters as well. The position 1 variable which is being created here, in this case we are just mentioning the find character list, and the find character list is the list of numbers from 1 to 0, that is all the digits which we have that will be searched in the text value. And here, since it will encounter the digit 1 in the text value, and it will return the position of the digit 1 in the text. So in this case, if you see, the phone is of 5 characters, then a semicolon, then a blank space. So the first number, that is the number 1, is at the position 8 in the text variable. So the for position 1 variable, we will have the value as 8. For position 2 variable, what we are doing is we are giving a find characters list as the semicolon, and we are using the modifier k here. So what does the modifier k do is that it counts only characters that are not in the list of find characters. So in this case, the position 2 will have again the value of 1. For position 3, again, we have used the modifier O, and it will give the last occurrence of a hyphen, and that will be the position 11 here. The next is the FINDW function. The purpose of this function is to search a string for a word, defined as a group of letters separated on both ends by a word boundary. For example, a space, the beginning of a string, or the end of the string. Note that punctuation is not considered a word boundary. The syntax of the FINDW is again same, which is the character value or then the word or the list or the find word which we want to find in the character value, then the delimiters, modifiers, and the starting position. The character value is any SAS character value. The word here, or in other words, the word which we want to find in the character value is the word for which you want to make the search. Delimiters specify values to be used as delimiters, whereas modifiers is an optional argument that contains the search conditions, such as if you want to ignore the case, then you will use the modifier as I. If you simply if you supply a modifier, you must also supply a delimiter. Since modifiers and delimiters are both character values, the function would assume you are supplying a delimiter and not a modifier if you do not specify a value for the delimiter. The starting position variable, that is the last argument in the FINDW function, gives a starting position for the search. If negative, the search goes from right to left, starting at the position of the absolute value of start. The function returns the position in the character value that contains the word. If the word is not found, the function returns a 0. FINDW function can be complicated, especially when using some of the modifiers or a negative starting position. Let's understand this again with an example here. Now again, I have used the character string, which is the SAS clinical programming training, as my text variable. And for position 1, I'm using the FINDW function to, to search for clinical word in the text string. So here in the text string, since the clinical is the second word, please note it is not the position where the clinical word is starting, but the number of word in the string, it will return a value of 2. For position 2 variable, again, we are using a modifier I, but we do not have any delimiters to mention. So what we have done is we have given a delimiter as blank here, and after that we have given a modifier I. And we are searching for a value of SAS. Please note that why we need a modifier I, because we want to ignore the case here. So if you note, the word which we have given is in small letter SAS, and the text string does not have a SAS in small letters. It do have a SAS, but it is in the capital letter. So by using the modifier A, we can use the FINDW function, and in this case it will return the position of SAS, which is the first position in the string. Next is the position 3 variable, where we are trying to find the word train. Now note here that we have given a word train, and in the text string the word which we are having is training. So what the FINDW function do is that it checks for the complete word, and as shown in this example, since the training word is not same as train and it will search for the complete word, the result of the FINDW function for searching train in the text variable here will return a value of 0 because it did not find the word train, and it will not consider training the train in training as the word which we are trying to search here. Now, if we want to visualize the comparison between the FINDC and FINDW in one go, what we have this table. So from this table, we can see that the find function checks a text field containing a keyword, and it searches for a substring and returns the position of a substring, and it is case sensitive again. Similarly, for the find C, although it is again case sensitive, but it will search for a characters from a set, and position of first or last matching characters will be the result of the find C. Whereas for find W function, it will search for a whole word, and the word number, not the character position, will be the result of the find W function. All these functions are case sensitive. Now let's see a few of the interview questions that can be asked on the find functions. The first one is what's the difference between find and index function in SAS? Both are used to search for substrings in a character strings, but index is simpler and less flexible. It is always case sensitive and doesn't allow the modifiers, whereas find is more powerful and it allows the case instance sensitive searches, trimming starting from a given position, and other modifiers. The next is, how do you make find case insensitive? That is, we can use the modifier I in the call of find. The next is, when would you prefer find W over scan? We use find W when we need to check if a specific word exists in a uh, character list, or and it returns its position in the sentence. Whereas the scan is used when you want to extract a word by its position. So find W will give the result if the word exists in the character list which we want to check, whereas the scan will extract a word by its position. The next is, how do modifiers in FINDC help in data cleaning? FINDC checks for characters from a set, and modifiers make it more versatile. For example, the K modifier, it can be used to find the first characters not in the given set and help detect unwanted characters. Similarly, the modifier I is the case insensitive modifiers and is useful when text cases is inconsistent. In this video, we explored FINDC, and FINDW function in SAS, their syntax differences, and real-world applications. These are powerful tools for text processing and are commonly asked in interviews. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more SAS tutorials. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know in comments if you want me to cover any specific topic.